come on, let's chant his name. Lord Krishna will be happy. Radha Rani will bless you and offer you the Krishna prem. So let's chant loudly, leave all anxiety. And please don't be worried, chant and be happy. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Come on, let's chant his name. Lord Krishna will be happy. Radha Rani will bless you and offer you the Krishna prem. So let's chant.
Dear sweet children, and the sweet mothers, and the sweet children, and the sweet fathers. So I'm going to share the story of Janmashtmi with all of you today. And Janmashtmi is the festival of the birth of Lord Krishna in India. The whole country really celebrates this festival very beautifully, and it's one of the favorite festivals of children. And as a child, I used to love Janmashtmi because I used to, create a jhanki at home with Krishna ji and Makhan and Ped and little, Yashoda Maiya. And I used to decorate it very creatively. And when I became a mother, I used to do it with my children. So for a long time, I've always made a jhanki at home. This year, I've not made a jhanki at home because of COVID and nobody around. And also, we are not going to go and see any jhankis in the temples. You know how beautifully every year the temples are decorated, but because of COVID, we are not going. So I thought, let me at least come up with the story for my children about how Krishna ji was born. Before I begin the story, I want to tell you something. When I was a small kid, up to the age, between the age of say 3 and 6, I was made Krishna ji number of times, maybe at least 10 to 11 times. Because every time there was a festival in school, I was made to stand like this in the corner. I was supposed to be a murti of Krishna ji, and they would tie a little crown with a peacock feather on it and make me wear those satin clothes and declare me Krishna ji. And I was told to stand very still in the corner for 15 minutes till the dance was going on, because I was supposed to be a statue. And I don't know how I had the patience to do that, but I used to do that. And I think because of that, being Christian myself, I've always been very fond of Krishna. And I've always liked everything about Krishna ji. I love the flute, I love the cows, I love that dressing, I love peacocks, I love peacock feathers. I think every single thing I just adore about Krishna ji's, system and the mandir. And I love praying to Krishna also. So this is about Krishna. So why was Krishna born in this world? So as in Indian mythology, as also in Ramayana when I shared with you, Ram came into the world to get rid of evil, right? Ravan had become very evil, so he was sent as an avatar. He was Vishnu's avatar. Krishna was also Vishnu's avatar, and he came at a time when there was a lot of evil spreading again because of a king in Mathura, and his name was Kansa. Now Kansa was very powerful, and because of the power, he had become very negative. That devilish forces had come into him. He wouldn't give a damn. He wouldn't care about anybody. If he was angry with somebody, he would just go and kill him or get him killed. He would just pick up the women when he wanted. He would just ransack anybody's shop and just get the stuff. Whatever he wanted, he would do. There was nobody to stop him because of his, he was a king, and also because he was very powerful. And he did not care for the sensitive people, for their lives, for their betterment. He was not bothered. All he thought was about his own luxuries and his own happiness. So that was what Kansa was. Now it was important that this negativity of Kansa should be removed from Mother Earth. So Lord Vishnu decided to come to this place of Mathura and make sure that this is removed. So what happens was that he thought, let me, take birth over there. So at that time, Kansa, he was a normal human being. It's not that he was totally devil. So he also sometimes thought of doing good. But that was very little portion, Larger portion of him was negative and devilish. So, but at that moment he thought that let me, help my uncle get his daughter married. So his chacha's daughter, his father's younger brother's daughter, her name was Devki. So he decided to find a groom for her, and they found a groom in Vasudev who was also a prince in a nearby small kingdom, and they decided to marry Devki to Vasudev, and everything was very nice. There were celebrations, and Devki was to be sent with Vasudev. But when she was to go, we have this tradition in India that the doli is taken by the brothers and sent to the house of her husband. So as Kansa was the brother, he voluntarily offered, and he was in a very good mood that day. So he said, I will go with her doli and I will walk it to the next place where she has to go, to the palace of Vasudev. So I will walk along the doli to make sure that she's not disturbed on the way and she's protected and all the rest of it. Like a very good brother, he joined them. And they started the journey. Now what happens? There's a twist in the story. On the way, suddenly there is a Akashvani. Akashvani is like, from the universe, there is like a voice message that comes. And the voice message says that Kans, your sister's 8th son is going to kill you, because he is going to be the Lord incarnate and he is going to kill you because of the devilish things you are doing on earth. So you better be careful. Now, as soon as Kans hears that, what do you think happens? Does he decide to become a very good man and give up his ways? Not at all. He is Kans, he has the devil in him. So he thinks, okay, 8th child of my sister. And he says, oh God, why did I get her married then? But then the thought that comes to his mind is that if there is no sister, where will be there another child or an 8th child? So why don't I just kill my sister? Because he was used to doing that. He would kill anybody who would come in his way. So he said, let me just kill her, get rid of her. If there's no sister, there'll be no child and there'll be nobody to, try to threaten me. So I'll be safe, I'll be set. So he decides to get Devki down the chariot, and he says, you come down because I need to kill you, because I've just got to know that your 8th son is going to kill me, and I'm not going to let that happen. I'm not such a fool. So now when he says that, Devki starts crying, she starts howling, and Vasudev, her husband, it's his duty, right, to protect his wife. So he comes forward, and he's an intelligent man, so he thinks of a plan, and he tries to shift Kansa's mind from what he's thinking. So he talks to Kans and he boosts him up, gives him lots of compliments. He says, you're so strong, everybody looks up to you, you're such a wonderful king. Now just think, if you decide to take the life of a lady, and that to your sister, everybody will start calling you a coward. And I don't want that my brother-in-law should be called a coward. So, and the voice message has not said that Devki is your enemy. She can't kill you, right? Only her son can kill you, and that to the 8th son. So why don't you just let her go? I promise you that every time we have a child, I will give the child to you and you do whatever you want with the child. But you must spare this lady, because not only is she a lady, she's also your sister. So think about it. So Kans starts thinking, yeah, maybe he's right, yeah, why kill a lady and then a sister, that may be too much. So he says, okay, you can go, but you make sure you bring the child to me. I want your 8th child, because in no way will I allow that to happen, that he goes up and kills me. So thanking his stars, Vasudev just bows down to him and he says, all right, we will do as you say, and he's allowed to go. So Devki and Vasudev go to Vasudev's palace, and Kans comes back home a little disturbed, but he's okay. He says, whatever happens, and Vasudev has promised, so I don't think I have any threat to my life. So things, continue for a while till Vasudev and Devki have a baby. Now when Vasudev has a baby, he decides to take the very first baby to Kans. And he goes, because he's made a promise, and he's a good man, he doesn't break promises. So he takes the baby and tells Kans that here is my first baby. If you want to do something with the baby, you can do. And so I brought him to you as promised. So Kans looks at the baby and he says, actually it's the 8th child that is going to be a problem. So what do I do with the first one? It's okay, you can take him back. Now at this point of time, we have another character in our mythology called Narad Muni. Narad Muni is a telltale priest, and he goes around Narayan, he goes around listening to people. He's always eavesdropping and figuring out what people are thinking and doing, and he goes and exchanges stories from here to there. That's his character in our mythology. So he is listening to him and he says, oh my God, if Kansa becomes such a good man, then how will he be, how will Krishna come, how will Vishnu come, and how will that wiping away of evil happen? Because if he starts pretending to be good sometimes and actually is bad, so that will not happen, and then it will get delayed. So he decides to seed something in Kansa's mind, and he says to him that yeah, eighth child, of course, but how do you know eighth from which side? Maybe counting backwards, maybe eighth, maybe counting this way, maybe eighth. So you cannot just decide which is the eighth child. So he agrees that yeah, maybe that may become a problem. So Kansa decides that okay, let me get Devaki and Vasudev into my palace and I will lock them up into a room. And if they're locked up in my room, they cannot, have a baby and I not come to know of it. So once they are there, whichever child is born, I'll get rid of the child and I'll be absolutely safe, because he's very worried about his own safety, right? That is the prime thing. So he locks up his sister and brother-in-law in a jail, you can say, right? So inside the palace. So now they start living there, and every time a child is born to them, immediately Kansa sees to it that the child is killed. Now what happens is, when the time of the eighth child is due, when Devaki is due for the eighth time, she also gets this feeling, because she's glowing, everything around her is glowing, that the Lord incarnate is coming to be with her and to be born out of her body. So while she's sharing this with Vasudev, the Lord incarnate appears himself, and he appears and he blesses them and he tells them that, look, I'm going to be born tonight, but what I want you to do is take me to Nandu's village. Nandu was the best friend of Vasudev from childhood, and there a daughter will be born. You bring the daughter here and you leave me there, because Yashoda will take care of me as a child, and when I grow up, as soon as I'm ready, I will make sure that all the devilish forces that Kansa has created in Mathura, and because of Kansa, all that will come to an end, because this is my mission of my birth in this lifetime. So when he says that to them, they are happy about it, because now they know that how they have to save the child. So what happens is, Krishnji gets born in the middle of the night. That's why middle of the night. And why it's called Janmashtmi? Because it's the 8th day of the lunar solar calendar, Indian calendar. It's called the Krishna Shukla Paksh of Savan. Generally in the month of August and September it comes, when it's raining. So in the midnight it starts raining outside, and here Krishnji is born. And so quickly Vasudev wraps him up, puts him in a small basket, and the minute he puts him in the basket, he has been tied by these cuffs, as like they jailed these prisoners with cuffs. So he had cuffs in his legs and hands, so that he can't do much, So Kansa said, and he can't run away, he can just walk around slowly. So those cuffs just break open. Why do they break open? Because it's the ultimate will of God, right? He is coming to be born, he just breaks the cuffs. When Vasudev walks out, the doors open, and when he walks out, all the guards outside fall asleep. They start snoring. Nobody sees anything. He just rushes out of the palace, but it's raining, it's pouring, and the child is in the basket over his head, and he wonders what will happen now. And suddenly, out of nowhere, swish, 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 one huge snake comes with 10 heads, and he covers the little baby's basket like that. And as he's going, Vasudev is going towards Nandu's village, the snake keeps following with the hood on top of the basket, which I always found so interesting and intriguing. And he goes all the way through the waters of Narmada to Nandu's house, where the baby is delivered safely, without getting wet, without falling sick. And then quickly Vasudev tells Nandu that he's brought the baby and he needs to take the other baby, and he has to take care of the baby because he is Vishnu's incarnation, he is Vishnu's avatar. And so he exchanges the baby, gets the girl back and rushes back to the palace. Now the girl is no ordinary child, she is also the female energy, the Durga Shakti. So she comes, and Kansa gets to know that a child has been born. So next morning he comes and he takes that little girl and he swirls her around and throws her against the wall to kill her. Now when he is doing that, she suddenly turns into Durga Shakti, Durga Mata. So, and she tells him that, look, I am not the one who has to kill you is safe and protected, and now you be warned. And she disappears. So Kansa is frightened, he's terrified, but Vasudev and Devaki are happy because they've actually managed to protect the good, to protect the Lord incarnate Vishnu, who is going to grow up to finish the negative energy, the devilish forces in Mathura. And they are really, really thankful that they were given the guidance on how to save his life. So this is the story of the birth of Lord Shri Krishna. Isn't it really interesting? And if you found it interesting, do comment and share the story with whomever you feel might find it interesting and would want to know about Lord Krishna's birth. And also, give me some comments. And if you still have not subscribed to my channel, please subscribe to my channel, because I'm coming with lots of lovely stories for all your children. And stay connected, because Dilliwalinani loves you all, and she's going to be with all of you, telling you beautiful stories every single day. So stay tuned.